Do you remember this thing? The Panasonic PA7 a bit of a strange mix of devices. It's a personal PA system. Featured it in a video a while ago. Have a look at the video description if you want to see that in full, but just a brief summary of what this is. It's kind of almost a boombox in a way, because we've got the built-in speakers, we've got built-in amplifier, we've got a CD player on the top. You can kind of carry it around if you've got a bit of strength, but it doesn't run off batteries. You need to plug this into the wall power supply. So yeah, almost a boombox, not quite, kind of a jack of all trades, but a really nice device, really interesting thing, and I'm glad I found it. Well, there is a predecessor to this PA100 that came out around about sort of 98, 99, I think, and it's the more desirable one. It's the one that collectors want, boombox collectors want. Again, it doesn't run off batteries, but it does have more in common with your typical boombox than this one does. Now, quite a lot of people suggested I should take a look at that one, because of course I've featured boomboxes in the past. Well, I do already own one, I just haven't showed it yet. I'm going to show it to you now. This is the RX-PA7. Oh, you'll see the dimensions are the same as the other one. But this one doesn't have that MIDI capability in here, being an earlier device. This one instead has, oh, hold on, trying to lift it up, twin cassette decks. So we've got a CD player, twin cassette decks, and a radio tuner down here, digital tuner. We've got the antenna on the back. So really this is in all but name a boombox. Well, again, other than the fact that you can't carry it around running it off batteries unless you've got one of them big power banks. But yeah, this is more of a boombox than the other one, and this is, I'd say, the more desirable one, because whilst the PA100 was sold in a number of different countries, including the UK, therefore it's not particularly difficult to get hold of, this model, the RX-PA7, was only sold in Japan, and therefore if you want one, you're going to have to import it, and of course, therefore it runs on 100 volts. So I got this a while back and I haven't really had much time to take a look at it, so let's do that together. But the first thing to say is, I think the look of this is much more appealing than the later model. Just this black, silver, grey with a few hints of red here and there. It's just a lovely looking device, very impressive, and perhaps it helps a little bit that as well as just being called the RX-PA7, it does have another name, which is what it's more commonly referred to by collectors. It is the Rhythm Vox. Rhythm Vox. Rhythm Vox. Rhythm Vox. Rhythm Vox. Rhythm Vox. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at it. I'll start off on this back panel because there's not an awful lot going on. The case, by the way, is wood with various different plastic bits attached to it and a bit of vinyl wrap on the top here as well. It looks nice though. But we've got this antenna at the top here, and then down at the bottom, RCA connectors, stereo line level in and out. It suggests connecting the output up to a mini disc recorder to record your performance that you've made with this device, and the input, again, it suggests connecting it up to a pair of DJ turntables via a mixer. Of course, it's entirely up to you what you do with these connectors. For me, I'd probably connect a Bluetooth adapter up to these now. To the left here though, we've got a 12 volt power input, and that's just a little cable clip to the right of that to hold that in place. Now that is something that wasn't on the later model, so this is useful if you were to connect this up to, say, a car power adapter. And then to the left we've got the standard 100 volt input. That is 50-60 Hertz, of course. And you'll notice below this and to the left we've got the serial number, but more importantly that 97 at the right hand side indicates that this model was manufactured in 1997. So I was a little bit out with my dates at the beginning. I think 97 might be one of the earlier models, and these were manufactured up till 1999, as far as I know anyway. Now moving around to the side, we've got a handle on either side, but these are very shallow. You can hardly get your fingers in there at all, so it's not the easiest thing to carry, but you'll notice all the corners are protected with these bumpers, and we've also got these bits at the back which protect the back section. Some of it is for show. It's designed to look rugged, but also these things do perform a function. So it's a bit of a mixture of faux ruggedness as well as real ruggedness. On the front here, we've got these little plastic handles. Now, these, again, protect that speaker on the front from getting bashed if you place it down on this side, but it also suggests don't lift it up with these because they are just pieces of plastic held in with a screw at either end, and apparently quite a few of these will have these broken off. So I'm happy to see that mine is in really very good condition. Let's just spin it around to the front and have a look at these speakers. Now, despite the fact this is a very simple layout, somehow it's also very attractive. It's an appealing design. I think a lot of that is down to these red highlights around the outside of these two centre speakers, which are described as being super woofers. So of course we've got a stereo pair here. The super woofer, that's a 12 centimetre speaker, that's a 15 watt output. And then the full range driver here, that's a smaller speaker, that's 8 centimetres, and that's a 12.5 watt output. Those wattages are as per the EIAJ standard. So we've got a 15 watt, 12.5 watt either side, and then down here we've got a bass port as well. But suffice it to say, it sounds really very nice and goes loud enough. Okay, now moving on to this top panel, again, it's a little bit cosplay in that it's pretending to be metal or more rugged than it is in various different places. Everything here is plastic, but it can't be bad quality plastic because it's lasted 28 years so far, and it all looks pretty much as good as new. And this isn't just unique. You'll find a lot of these devices that still look just as good as they were when they were made. So yeah, not bad quality, just perhaps not as good as it's pretending to be. But yeah, we've got fake hex screws at the corners of these doors here, but they're all fine, they all work just fine. And the mechanisms inside the cassette decks aren't particularly sophisticated, neither's a CD player, but it all just works. If we just turn it on here, you probably can't see this, but that is back illuminated and it's red, which is unusual for a display. We've got another red highlight here as well on the record button. Now you see the controls here for the CD player, they also double as the controls for tuning the radio in. As far as the radio goes, it's FM/AM. And here's our selectors for the various different sources, including the auxiliary input on the back. The CD player allows you to do random play, repeat play, and also program in a memory for the tracks to play in the certain order that you've selected. The reason the repeat play is important is because if somebody was trying to learn a particular piece of music and play along with a CD, it could keep playing the same part over and over. Now you can see on this side we've got the volume, bass, treble and mic controls. There's no echo on this one as there was on the later one. Notice for the guitar here we can have distortion, normal, or move into a keyboard mode. And on the right we've got the input for the guitar and the microphone and the output for the headphone, all of which are currently closed in with these rubber plugs, but those are still in place. I'd imagine those go missing on quite a few of these. Now as far as the mixing goes, you do have some restrictions of course to what you can mix together. They put them into 3 different columns here. A, you can pick from the CD, the tape, the radio, the inbuilt functions, or use the auxiliary input on the back. In B, you've got to choose between an electric guitar or a keyboard, and C, a microphone or a bass guitar. So pick one from each column and those are the things that you can mix together. Now when it comes to the FM/AM radio, there was a pleasant surprise because for a device that was manufactured just for the Japanese market in the late 1990s, this could quite easily have had a restricted FM frequency range that would appeal to the domestic market only of between 76 and 90 megahertz. I was therefore very happy to find out that this covers the full FM frequency range, 76 up to 108, which means I can pick up everything that I need to where I am, and once I've picked up the station, either by scanning to it or just pressing up and down manually, I can then store those stations under 10 presets for FM and 10 for AM, and then you can just jump between them like so. It's a good radio, picks up a good strong signal, and it sounds good as well. Now as far as cassette decks go, Really rather a basic setup. We've got the standard layout of a play-only deck on the right and a record and play deck on the left. As far as recording goes though, you can only record onto Type 1 tape, and there's no Dolby noise reduction in this. It's really quite a bare bones setup. Of course, if you wanted to play something back that had Dolby encoding and it wasn't sounding right, you could adjust your bass and treble to try and get the sound how you like it. But yeah, it's a rather simple setup, but it does what you need. You can record your performances that you're making through this thing, and also you can play back a tape and record that into this device at the same time that you're playing along with it. You can mix all these things together. But yeah, it's not a hi-fi deck, but I don't think it ever needed to be. And besides which, it doesn't sound bad at all. Okay, so on the left here we've got the speed. That's a 1% scale, so we're looking at the top row, we're just under 0.5% fast. And then on this one we're a 0.3 scale, so we're the bottom row, and we're just around about 0.2 to a little bit over on the wow and flutter. So not particularly outstanding results, but you really wouldn't expect them to be either. Let's have a look at the other deck. Yeah, this one seems a little bit better, more accurate on the speed, a little bit less wow and flutter, but much the same results. I'm pretty sure the cassette mechanism used in here is the same one Panasonic then went on to use in their boombox, the RX-PA7 which I reviewed 5 years ago, but at that point had already been on the market for 10 years and was discontinued shortly after. You can see the downfall of the cassette through these devices, because when that mechanism was used on the RX-PA7, it had a permanent erase magnet, which produces really bad recordings with a lot of noise on them. In here, they've got a proper electromagnet erase system. But then this one doesn't enable you to record onto chrome or metal tapes or use Dolby. I mean, if we go back to the boombox that I had in the late 80s, yeah, I could record onto chrome tape and it had Dolby on it. So yeah, things slip down, but this is the point where we've got an electromagnet and we can record onto Type 1 tape. So it's not as bad as things eventually got. Let's try recording onto this. I mean, I wouldn't have bought this to do recordings on. I've got much better things than that, but since it can do it, we might as well have a go. So I've got my little MP3 playing Walkman here. I'm just going to play some music again. This will be from Track Tribe from the YouTube audio library. We'll record it into here, and then we'll have a listen back and see how it sounds on this one. Don't expect too much, but I'm hoping it'll be all right. Now, I know this isn't a boombox, but if we just compare it against the kind of boombox that I had back in the 80s, whilst that one could record onto metal and chrome and had Dolby noise reduction, I didn't tend to use Dolby noise reduction, so I was just using chrome tape, and that's the only thing really that this is missing out on, because mine also had mechanical controls on it. It didn't have soft touch controls. Those were for the really high-end ones that I couldn't afford at the time, and mine didn't have a CD player on it either. So this is a step up really from what I had, other than the ability to record onto chrome. But yeah, as far as the best of the best, this is definitely not it. Anyway, we've got something recorded on here now, so let us just stop the playback. And we'll have a rewind and just have a listen to this. Oh, need to move into tape. There we go. Right, I'm listening to this with a critical ear. Bit of a wobble on there. Yeah, just slightly off pitch. I've got a feeling that like the pinch roller and things are a little bit sticky perhaps after all. This is getting on in years. But you know what? It's all right. Could be a lot worse, as has been proven by many more recent devices than this. So yeah, it records, you can play it back, it's okay. I'm going to play some music through this. I've got some tracks I've copied from the YouTube audio library onto a Type 1 cassette, and I've also burnt them onto a CDR. Now, of course, this will play CDRs, but it won't play MP3 CDs, given its vintage. I think its successor did, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We're talking about this one now. So we'll have a listen to both of these formats in this. Now, of course, usual disclaimer, you're going to be listening to what's been recorded through a microphone and uploaded to YouTube and then played out over your phone speakers to everyone on the bus to annoy them whilst they're trying to get to work in peace. So you won't get the full experience. I'll try and describe what I'm hearing at my end, and then once we've played with this, we'll move on to its more modern version. That one has a different speaker layout. Rather than two super woofers and two full range drivers, that one just has the full range drivers either side and one big woofer in the middle. So it will no doubt have a different sound to it, perhaps even better. But as far as I can tell, this one sounded just fine when I was listening to it earlier on. But let's have a go. Well, that was a bit of a revelation. I really don't know whether it comes across on the camera, but bearing in mind, I've got plenty of boomboxes, and I've got some of the ones that people suggest are the best ones ever made, like the JVC M90 and the Sharp 777. This blows them away when it comes to the actual sound that comes out of it. I mean, not as far as the features and things go, but when you think of the whole idea of a boombox, it's something that you carry around, you put down, you turn up, and it blasts out loud sound, but also it's got to be clear and it's got plenty of bass. It's got all of that going on, so that's fine. Now, of course, there's different levels of cassette decks. When it comes to a personal stereo back in the day, that one had to sound just perfect for me. If there was any issues with it at all, like wow and flutter, a little bit muffled, or the speed was wrong, I'd pick up on that because I've got my earphones on or headphones on at the time. And so therefore I made sure I got a very kind of high-end one because I was very discerning when it came to those. And then similarly for a home cassette deck now in a hi-fi, that one's got to have all the features on Dolby, BCS, dual lock, closed loop, dual lock, capstan, direct drive, quartz lock, blah, 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 all those things, because again, you're trying to get the very best recording, you're trying to get it to sound like the source and things. Boomboxes, different kettle of fish. You're supposed to put a cassette in them, press play, boom, it comes out. And it does that. And it does it very well. And it does it better than any of the other boomboxes I've got. Despite the fact they might have loads more features on them, you're able to skip to a particular track. You've got all the different noise reductions and the different tape formulation capabilities, all that, equalizers, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, forget all that. If you just want to play a tape, you want to play it loud, you want to play it with plenty of bass, this is the device for you. Well, for me anyway. I'm not suggesting anyone goes and gets one of these. Okay, so tape. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the best tape deck in the world, but for what this thing is supposed to be, it's doing a really good job. Okay, let's move on there though and play a CD, because I mean, it's going to sound as good or better, isn't it? Wow, again, sounds excellent. I mean, there's really good separation on that. I'm surprised. Look at the size of this box, and yet when I stand behind the camera over there, I'm getting a proper stereo sound through that. And I'm so happy with the sound quality. It's ridiculously good. It shouldn't be this good, but it is. I mean, it's clear with decent bass at the same time. It's not overwhelmed in any way. Such a basic thing, and yet it does its job so well. just wanted to go back to the cassette again, because one thing I didn't mention on that, let's just pop over to the tape, because one feature on this, it doesn't have your track skip and all that kind of stuff. You know, it can identify where the next track is. Can't do any of that. It's very basic. But what it does have, a nice queuing system. So if I just, you'll have heard this on other devices, but I'll just press play now. Right, okay. So let's say we want to get back to the beginning of this track. We'll just rewind. There we go. Wish it was a shorter track to demonstrate that with, but you can very easily find the gap between tracks just by listening to it that way. I mean, you can do that with a lot of decks, but just the way the controls operate on this makes it very easy to do. Let's just go back again. It's just so nice, the action on these buttons, even though they're all plastic again, but somehow it all just works really well. And as far as that CD player goes, yeah, as well as your regular play, you could do random play and program play, and you could do repeat play. We're not going to go into all that now, but yeah, this just sounds really good in every which way. I don't know how I'm going to really compare it to the other one, because, like, how could it sound any better? It might sound a bit different, I suppose. Let's stop this one. We'll get the CD out. We'll put it in the other one, and I'll just see if that one is any better. I really don't know how it could be better. It could just be different, but let's find out. This is definitely not the thing you should be doing if you've bust your shoulder, but anyway, here we go. I haven't got the specs for the weight on this one with me at the moment. I'll pop them on the screen, but I will mention the one at the bottom, the Rhythm Vox. That one, why do I say it like that? That one weighs 11.5 kilograms, just for information purposes. Nobody needs to know that, do they? Okay, let's plug this in. Oh, they're so bulky, these things, in a nice way, but not great for shooting on YouTube. I'm in trouble getting me and the device in the shot at the same time. Right, okay, so let's play this CD. Now, it's a more sophisticated device in some ways, but as far as playing a CD goes, it should be much the same. Notice, of course, the volumes on this one, the sliders, twisters on the other one. Prefer the little twisty knobs, I think. Anyway, let's, oh, there we go. Right, I think it was track 5, was it? No, 4. It's one of these somewhere. That one, track 6, now. That sounds a bit more boomy. Let's just adjust that. Right, I'm coming back behind the camera, I'm going to have a listen. Well, after having a bit of a listen, I struggled to choose between them. I like the sound from both of these. If I was trying to pick out differences, I think it's possible that the more recent of the two, the PA7 the one with 3 speakers, sounds a little bit more boxy, perhaps a little bit more like a PA speaker, whereas the Rhythm Vox, to me, sounds a little bit more like a piece of hi-fi equipment. But it's very possible that I'm just completely imagining that. And if I was doing some blindfolded A/B test, I'd probably mix the two of them up. I think it's just your mind plays tricks with you when you play a piece of music on one device and then another with a gap in between, and you're trying to critically listen to them. By the time you get to the second one, you start picking out things that maybe you didn't on the first one. But yeah, they're both excellent. I mean, it's ridiculous how good the sound quality is from something like this. I mean, it's not designed as a piece of hi-fi equipment, but I'd be more than happy to listen to my music through one of these things. And as far as a portable device goes, I don't think there are very many things that are better than this that you could cart around and play cassettes and a CD on, or a CD on. As long as you've got somewhere to plug it in, that is. But yeah, both excellent devices. I was just trying to figure out what it is about this that appeals, where so many more modern day devices that perform more functions just don't have the same interest. After all, if you were putting something together now, there's nothing to stop somebody putting something together like this. There's no lost art here. There's no components that you can't get hold of anymore. You could get speakers, you could get amplifiers, you could get probably better ones than the ones in here. You could get the same basic cassette mech that's in here, or a variation that's much the same and will perform to the same level as this. You could get a CD player, you could get an AM/FM tuner, you could get one with a digital broadcast tuner built in there, you could put a lithium battery in one of these, you could get a wooden box and stick all those things together. I mean, after all, this is just a wooden box, some plastic components and a bit of vinyl wrap on it. There's nothing here that you couldn't do now, other than the fact that nobody really knows what they're doing anymore. But yeah, if you wanted to, as a manufacturer, you could make one of these now today. One that did more than this, and one that would be as appealing as this is. Would you sell any? I don't know, but this certainly has its fans, despite the fact it's just a wooden box with some plasticky components in, wrapped with a bit of vinyl. There's something about this that's got a bit of magic to it that a lot of things nowadays are missing out on. So maybe one day someone will figure out what that magic is, instead of carrying on making plasticky silver boomboxes that are supposed to look like something from the early 1980s but fall so far short it's not even funny. But anyway, there you go. That was the Rhythm Vox. Hope you like it. That's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.